inspire our viewers to thrive, not just survive. Let's take a moment and introduce your Thrive Tribe. Noel Ramos, investment coach from Atlanta, Georgia. Sabrina Protic, author and life coach from Tampa Bay, Florida. Stacy Pesaw, life coach from Palm Harbor, Florida. Gina Marie Casano, transformational coach from Bayville, New York. Dr. Lita J. Harris, gynecologist from Corona, California. Whitney Hartford, social media influencer from Miami, Florida. Genesis Haycrick, workflow coach from Sarasota, Florida. Brianna Johnson, financial coach from Chicago, Illinois. Sylvia Camacho, financial coach from La Habra, California. Let's get ready to be empowered, and here's your Thrive Tribe. Thriving Women Talk is powered by the Trendsetters Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship on Facebook.
Hey, yeah. Welcome to Thriving Women Talk. Today, we'd like to give a shout out to our new viewers from Valencia, Spain. Hey, they're here with us. We are streaming live. My name is Gina Marie Casano. I am streaming live from Bayville, New York with the Thrive Tribe. Today's show is about enlightening, encouraging, and empowering our viewers from across the world. And today we have some encouraging news from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, for short, the CDC. According to data from the CDC, the U.S. on Friday topped 100 million COVID-19 vaccine doses administered. About 35 million people have been fully vaccinated, accounting for the 13.5% of the adult U.S. population. Of those 65 and older, more than 32% have been fully vaccinated, and over 61% have received at least one dose. And this is encouraging because 80% of the deaths caused by COVID-19 in the US have been among people 65 and older. And so now we're seeing some light at the end of a very long year. We're very happy to hear that.
That's encouraging news, Gina.
That is encouraging news, yes. And so in other enlightening news, Tiffany Haddish won a Grammy on Sunday for the best comedy album called Black Mitzvah on her Netflix special, making her only the 6th woman to ever win that award. Sabrina, what news do you have about the Thriving Women website?
I am so excited, Gina. I've got my trusty little cell phone here. It goes with me everywhere, which means I can pull Thriving Women Network up at any given time.
Love it.
Our big announcement is we have our own website, which means I can watch Thriving Women whatever I'm doing from my own device, from my laptop, from my iPhone, from my iPad. So we are here now. Thriving Women Talk. We want to be everywhere that you are.
Love it.
And speaking of that, and speaking of everywhere that you are, yes, this is official launch. You heard it here live about our website. Our website, this is a very touching story, was developed by this guy called Joel Passan. He's a native of Taytay, Rizal, Philippines. What makes this news so encouraging is that our web designer, Joel Passan, contacted our producer and founder, Daryl Johnson, back in 2019 on Facebook, asking him to support his business, which would assist his family and himself for his Bible outreach ministry. Long story short, here we are in 2021, and we're supporting each other now. Joel has now contracted with the Thriving Women Network as our official webmaster. Through that relationship of help, remember, empower, encourage, and enlighten. And this is encouraging and it's helping his outreach ministry. The purpose of our website, Gina, is to share our history and mission and vision for the future of our network. Gina, we're going to kind of do a little memory lane with our website here. We want to share a few pictures with our viewers and highlight some of the main pages. So we're going to go with the first picture of our boardroom table, which is a symbol of Thriving Women At the boardroom. That's kind of a small picture, but that's really a picture of a boardroom table there, Gina. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's about collaborating and sitting together as women. And though we physically can't be together, that's what it really symbolizes, that we work together as a team.
So there's no one person, it's all teamwork.
Absolutely.
Actually, this whole feel of the thriving women in this boardroom was inspired by Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook and author of the book Lean In. Sheryl actually challenged women around the world to have a seat at the boardroom table per se, and to lean in when it comes to leadership and that whole balancing act of parenting. Let's go to the next page of our website. And here you'll find inspiring bios of all of our hosts on Thriving Women Talk and the history of our Thriving Women Network. Gina, what do you say about those bios?
I love it. It definitely helps to, remember that, we are people here and we're not just here to spew information, but really is to encourage, enlighten, and support everyone from across the world. And so, getting to know us a little bit is just as important as we can share the news with you.
Yes, because we all have our stories, very interesting stories too. So we're happy to share those stories with the world. Also, a part of our passion story is our founder. His journey, we'll find that he started 30 years ago with this vision of building this network of women. And the next page is going to show our viewers what some of our recent episodes are on our Thriving Women and our Big Brother show, Uncomfortable Conversation. There he is. What can we say about our founder, Gina? There he is, Daryl A. Johnson. 10 years.
I have to say, I have worked with a lot of people in my life. And, one of the things that I love most about Daryl is that he is so motivated and he's also open. So he's got this vision and he brings in the best of the best, and we all come together and we get to share and collaborate, but we also collaborate on his vision. And so that really makes a good leader, is that he does share and lead us and guide us. And he also welcomes us to come to him, when we have ideas and thoughts, and then actually takes action. So he really does inspire and motivate me. And I'm grateful to have him as our founder and producer.
Well, exactly that. And also his vision expanded and went beyond Thriving Women. And he started his other two shows. We have a show called Uncomfortable Conversation. And of recent, we're going to have a sports type show, which will also bring in another segment. So his vision continues to grow and evolve, but the three main words always remain is encourage, enlighten, and empower all of our viewers and listeners. So what we want to do is want to encourage everyone to subscribe to the Thriving Women Network. That's thrivingwomennetwork.com. And we'll be, in the meantime, putting together our sports show that we mentioned that's going to rival other networks. And we really look forward to our viewers and your comments. And we want to have you as subscribers so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I love it. And also the Trendsetter Mentor Group is where all of that is hosted. And that's on Facebook, the Trendsetter Mentor Group. And you could find them on Facebook.
Awesome. We love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabrina, for that encouraging news. So the month of March is Women's History Month, and we talked about it briefly last week, and it's observed annually to coincide with the International Women's Day, which is on March 8th. And my co-host Stacy has some empowering news on the topic of Women's History Month. And so let's get Stacy up here. And so I want to hear about, Stacy had a wonderful weekend. And I want to hear a little bit about that. So before we get into news, there's Stacy. Tell us about your road trip this weekend.
Oh, it was amazing. To be able to get out in nature, fresh air. We had like a glimpse of like summer weather here in the Tampa Bay area, and got a little bit of sunshine and just breathing in the fresh air. I got to spend some time. So it was really, really enjoyable. It really did my heart good, getting out of the house and
Yeah.
Getting some sunshine and vitamin D. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I think we need some more of that from New York here, and I'm not getting too much of that.
I know there's so many people I know that they're just like itching. It's like spring fever. We've been inside for a year now. We need to be out.
Yeah. So let's hear, moving on, who are we honoring today?
Yes, well, I'm really excited because this is someone that has been on our show before. Phil Macomber, educational specialist, author of the book Every Child Can Learn. She's a president and CEO of Make a Difference, Inc. and Practical Assistive Technology Solutions, Inc. And Phil has consulted with and trained thousands of teaching staff around the world. She was featured in the international bestseller, The Common Threads Trilogy book series, as one of the top 100 empowering women from around the globe for being a passionate catalyst for systems change in education. This is huge. In addition, Phil has created a simple 4-step system for how to teach anything to anyone called The Pact, which is outlined in Phil's first book called The Power of the Pact. And since the framework's inception in 2009, her research-based teaching strategies have been published in numerous articles featured in educational publications. In fact, I have her book, so I'm really excited to share this with you. The Pact is being successfully used across North America, in both the United States and Canada, and in parts of Australia, England, Italy, Saudi Arabia, and various countries in Africa. So she's like really impacting so many people. Her partnership with South Africa-based Leave No Girl Behind International involves training young people in key leadership principles globally. She also holds one of the only two U.S. appointments on the board of directors for the Leave No Girl Behind School of Leadership. And Thriving Women recognizes Phil Macomber on her commitment and dedication to creating comprehensive change in our educational system. So congratulations, Phil, on being chosen as our Thriving Women of the Month. And I want to welcome her back to the show. Yeah.
It's
It's so wonderful to see you again.
Yes, thank you so much. I'd love for you to just share with us a little bit about your organization, Make a Difference.
Well, you know, since the inception of my teaching framework called The Pact, which you just mentioned, I've had the opportunity to really not only train and consult, but to also learn from so many educators in so many different parts around the world. And that in itself has just been such a wonderful journey for me. And, you know, it all kind of stemmed from growing up with my cousin Pam Pam, who has an intellectual disability. And back then it was called mental retardation. And I'm not sure if I've shared that with you before, but that's where my journey started as a kid, with really my Aunt Nellie and Uncle Sammy teaching me about the real meaning of inclusion for everyone.
Oh, wow. I just got chills when you said that. Like that just really, you know, I know touches so many people. And I love that this is where this passion came about. Beautiful. So we're going to continue with this conversation later in the show, and also be featuring your new book, Every Child Can Learn. But before we do that, Brianna, who is our second honoree?
Hi, everybody, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Hello, Thriving Women. So our next honoree is Dr. Lilita Harris. She is the founder of Nurturing You Women's Health and Wellness, and has been caring for women in the Inland Empire since 1990. So the team caters to both men and women who are struggling with hormonal imbalances and offer a wide variety of wellness, health, and beauty services. So Dr. Harris, she specializes in personalized bioidentical hormone replacement therapy options. So patients can expect for effective relief for weight fluctuation, mood swings, and sexual dysfunctional issues associated with low hormone levels. So this is actually great because, you know, sometimes these are things that people don't want to talk about. They don't know where to turn to. So I am so happy to have her here today. So Dr. Harris and her team perform thorough woman exams. They provide remedies for premenopausal and menopausal symptoms, and even offer in-office vaginal, resurrections. Plus, because Nurturing You Women's Health and Wellness is home to some of the most advanced aesthetic systems available, patients can enhance their appearance with non and minimally invasive services. So the patients, her practices even provides skin tough tightening and wrinkle reduction solutions with the revolutionary Cynosure TempSure Envy system. So Dr. Harris and the team listens to their patients and discuss their problems. And they also integrate individual needs into a patient's customized treatment plan and provide several options for care, which include nutrition and lifestyle coaching. So Thriving Women, we would like to recognize Dr. Lilita Harris on her commitment and dedications on creating comprehensive solutions and personalized healthcare systems. So congratulations, Dr. becoming being chosen as one of our Thriving Women of the Month, in honor of Women's National Month. And congratulations on your son, Jason, on winning the 2021 Los Angeles Film Award for his screenplay. So do you mind telling us how, you guys decided to celebrate?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I just want to thank the Thriving Women for just honoring me. And I want to also say congratulations to Dr. Phil as well for her being acknowledged as well. This is an awesome acknowledgement. I just want to say thank you all for that. So yes, I've been on before a couple times, and I'm just grateful that you all have brought me on board. But regarding my son, yeah, my kids are grown and gone. So my son is on the East Coast. And so when you say, how did we celebrate? Well, we celebrated by pumping him up on social media and saying, hey, my son won. So that's how we celebrated, because we weren't able to be in each other's presence. But the screenplay, this may kind of get a little bit more serious, but the title of it is Industry. And my son suffered about half a decade ago a sexual assault. And he's been very vocal about this assault for years in the advocacy space, to the point where he was invited to be on the Yale University board, the psychology department, for studying male survivors of sexual assault. But here in California, he was very instrumental in passing SB 813 in 2016, along with Gloria Allred and Assembly Member Mike Gibson and Senator Connie Leyva. And essentially what that bill did was it revoked the statute of limitation on rape charges here in California. So this was very instrumental in the Me Too movement. The bill also, because of the fact of statute of limitation being lifted, enabled certain industry, entertainment executives and higher ups to be susceptible and be able to be in jail. Let's just put it that way, because there's no such thing as statute of limitation when it comes to rape. So the film has not been created yet, but it was hundreds of people that submitted their screen and the screenwriters. And I'm just proud of him for being so open in his advocacy and being able to take his challenge and his testimony to be something that was able to help other people as well. So I'm very proud of him for that.
That's amazing. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lita. It really inspires me that your son is taking action
Yes.
That's amazing. And it's not easy to do. So
No.
definitely congrats to him for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
To shift a little bit, our trending topic is on the pros and cons of homeschooling. And so we're going to take a brief sponsor break. And when we come back, we will get a teacher and a doctor perspective on this topic.
Mhm.
Choice and opportunity, the foundation of the Capital Choice mission. We believe everyone has the choice to take control of their own financial independence, and we want to give more people the opportunity to achieve their goals. At Capital Choice, we help make financial wellness a reality, and you can be a critical part of the charge, a part of something bigger. Our associates are more than just salespeople to us. We're a team, a family that supports each other, and we have fun doing it. We want you to succeed. So we offer mentorship and training to help you get comfortable with the industry and serving clients. Our goal is to get you to a place of independence, to be in business for yourself. You choose how to grow, and we'll never take that away from you. Your business focus, how you build your team, how you serve clients, how high you climb, full-time versus part-time. The sky's the limit, and we'll be there for help and support along the way. At Capital Choice, we are passionate, empathetic, real. We give everyone equal opportunity, but you have the control and make the decisions. Want to see what you can achieve with more choice and opportunity? Join our team and find freedom with Capital Choice. Your business, your choice.
Welcome back to Thriving Women. We have two empowering, thriving women on the show today, and we are encouraged by their mission to provide intrinsic value in the U.S. educational system and the healthcare system. So Dr. Lita Harris, welcome back. I'd love for you to tell us how your healthcare center, Nurturing You Women's Health and Wellness, provides intrinsic value, especially for women during this pandemic.
Wow. I mean, my whole passion, of course, is to help women to live their optimal best. So, of course, when you're dealing with women that, this pandemic has hit us, well, it's hit everyone, of course, but when women have had to transition to being at home, I've had several patients who've had to share with me that, not only am I working from home, but I'm homeschooling the children. And now my husband's working at home too, and he's in my space, etc. So there's a lot of dynamics that have happened ever since this has taken place. And so, my part to play, of course, is it's always about educating and supporting them in their health journey, because as you shared earlier, a lot of what I do has to do with their lifestyle changes, their hormonal balance, and things like that. So when they're in balance and they're healthy, when their immune system is at a good state, and they're able to be more resilient, if I can put it that way, we can deal with life changes a little bit with some more resilience. So my thing is support them, educate them, let them know they're not alone. And that there's a whole bunch of people that are dealing with the same thing, but of course, supporting them. A lot of mental health issues, as you all know, too, has just really risen in this whole time. And people sometimes don't realize that hormonal imbalance can also interfere with their mental status, anxiety and depression, just mood changes, all of those things are part of hormonal imbalance. And when those are not addressed, again, it just makes us not be able to be as resilient as we could be during these trying times. So a lot of education, supporting them, giving them all types of different suggestions for their health, their immune system, their everything, just to help to support their status. So.
Yeah, so important. I wish I would have known you a couple years ago. Yes, I'm here to tell you, no one told me about the depression or the anxiety part. I mean, you hear about hot flashes and stuff, but
there's so much more. There is so much more.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
exactly. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and how did your business thrive, during COVID, and what were some of the
Woo! Through a lot of prayer.
changes?
How about that? Prayer. That's how it thrived. Prayer. I'm
Amen.
serious. Because truly, I mean, although I've been practicing over 30 years, I've been on my own for the last 5.5 years. So a solo practitioner basically is a small business. And so when you get told that everyone has to just stay home and no one's coming through the door, it's like, oh my gosh, people are not coming through the door. So there's no patience. And so when there's no patience, there's nothing coming through financially, right? So, of course, and I say I was laughing, but seriously, there's a whole lot of prayer that went through. Just God help me, because I know that you put me in this situation and I know that you're not going to let me fail. So help me, guide me in what I need to do. And so, yes, he sustained me. And I did have to make some changes with, like, say, telehealth. That was one big thing that changed. Okay. Me being able to do telehealth visits. And now it's a situation where that's here to stay. Okay. Telehealth is here to stay. So I've got patients now all across the country, which I'm grateful for, who call for different, for hormone consultation visits, and we can have a phone telehealth visit. And it's awesome. So that has expanded my service. I guess my whole my service space. It's enlarged my territory, so I can now take care of people all over the country. And so that's here to stay. And but yeah, literally, I've been able to thrive by opening up and being more creative in the types of ways that I can take care of patients. And I'm just grateful to God just for keeping me. It's been almost a year now, and so I'm just grateful.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Lita. Phil, I want to reach out to you for a minute. So you are an educational specialist. You are the author of the book, Every Child Can Learn. And truth is told that your book is #1 in your educational category on Amazon. So congratulations. That's amazing. So in your opinion, what is wrong with the educational system in America right now?
I think cookie cutter education needs to leave education.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that we cannot look at every child as like this assembly line, like everyone's going to learn this way.
Right.
It's my way or the highway. We need to be able to tap into the passions of every child, the personal interests of every child, and the learning styles of every child, regardless of their ability, whether they're below grade level, they're at grade level, or above grade level. And, we just don't need to provide extra support to those children receiving special education services. We also need to challenge those above grade level so they're not just sitting there when they've completed their things ahead of time. So realizing that there's a range of abilities and we need to just simplify common sense education.
That's amazing. So what is your plan to kind of disturb and kind of try and fix it a little bit, if you can go into detail?
Sure. One of the biggest messages in my teaching framework, the PACT, and in Every Child Can Learn is that if we simplify learning, I don't mean water down learning. I mean, simplify learning to the most important tasks that we need to do for students of all abilities. So special ed is not doing something different than general education in the classroom, that they come together like this, that we will be able to have students of all abilities participating in their classroom community, in their school community, and have a greater, what I call, presence of contribution, because it's all about the meaningful contributions. And, I don't think you could make a child excited to learn. You need to provide the pixie dust so they find that excitement themselves. And that makes a good teacher.
Very true. Whitney?
Yes, you are speaking volumes to me, actually. I'm sorry, I was trying to get off mute, but as a mother of three, you are speaking volumes to me. So I definitely think that's something that needs to be resolved. I actually had, a couple questions for Dr. Lita. Dr. Lita, on your website, you mentioned the practice caters to both men and women who are struggling with hormonal imbalances. Because Dr. Harris specializes in personalized bioidentical hormone replacement therapy options, patients can expect effective relief for weight fluctuations, mood swings, and sexual dysfunction issues associated with low hormone levels. What are bioidentical hormone replacement therapy options?
Okay. Well, it's so interesting because I like what Dr. Phil said with regards to individualized. Okay. Not every child is the same as far as learning, etc. Same goes with women. Not everyone is sure that that we're looking at all of their various symptoms. We're analyzing them. We're looking at blood tests and things like that. We are also making sure that that whatever option feels good to them. So when we use the phrase bioidentical, basically that's just saying
Okay. Well, it looks like we're having a little bit of difficulty with your internet, Dr. Lita.
Biologically the same. Uh-oh, can you all hear me?
It's cutting a little bit in and out, Dr. Lita. We're going to give you some time to maybe catch up with your internet and come back to you.
I'm just talking away. Can you hear me?
It happens.
No. Oh no, I'm just yapping away here.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's fine. Try it again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't even know where
yeah.
I think she was
yapping away. I don't even know where I cut off.
Okay. Well, it looks like we lost Dr. Lita for right now. So we still have Phil, and I want to reach out to Phil again. So I want to ask you, can you share with our viewers a story of a teacher that used your PACT system and what was the impact on their decision?
Of course. In fact, I have 8 contributing authors to book 2, Every Child Can Learn. One of them is a classroom teacher. And I wanted to make sure that people heard from other people's perspective, not just mine as the author of the framework. And so this classroom teacher, who is an excellent classroom teacher by the name of Dulcie O'Hare, I had the opportunity for her to be in my mentoring and coaching program. And she always would talk with me about wanting to be able to provide equitable education, meaning for those students that came from trauma-based homes, for those students that had social emotional learning issues, for those students with disabilities, and then more typical students. And so when she started embracing the 4-step, not 25-step, not even 5-step, 4-step program of learn about, read about, write about, talk about, which are the hallmark anchors in the PACT framework, she said that it was a game changer for her. And I think that what was the game changer is that she had the roadmap to teach anything. So for example, if she was going to teach something in science, like the solar system or space, the students learned about the planets, they read about the planets, they wrote about the planets by developing wonderful projects on the planets and research reports, and then they presented and talked about what they learned and read about. But in social studies, she also did that if they were learning the Revolutionary War. They learned about the Revolutionary War, they read about it, they wrote about it, but now the project wasn't on the planets. It was on the Boston Tea Party, for example. And so her 2 takeaways, in my opinion, were reaching students of all abilities in hands-on learning that is student-led, with providing them a structure and creativity, and also streamlining or lesson planning. Because the biggest complaint you hear from educators today, whether they're in a school building or in a remote learning environment, not enough time to create materials or lesson plans. And so the outcome of this has been, you know, me saying to Dulcie and to the thousands of educators that I've trained, I can't give you more time in your life, but I can give you more life in your time. And that's what Dulcie said. You gave me more life in my time, Phil. I'm using my time wiser.
I love that, Phil. It's more simplified. Instead of making it some big extravagant to do, you simplified it and made it where it's a lot more easier and more understandable. That's truly great.
And do you know what parents say about this? Is that when teachers simplify, they are able to simplify homework help at home. They are right, because, you know, so many families have come to me, and I support a lot of families that homeschool as well. But for those parents that have their children in more traditional school settings, whether public, private, charter, whatever, that they have said that oftentimes, like, a child will come home, drop their backpack down, and they enter a night of homework hell. Well, that's not happening now, because they're like, okay, I get it. This is a learn about homework. I know exactly how that's supposed to go. Oh, this is a write about homework. And so I think it's just helped all around to decrease stress, right?
Yeah, it's almost like it's common sense, but it wasn't common sense until somebody said it.
Well, you know, it's so funny that you say that. And I may have said this the last time that I was on the show, that, you know, when I first developed this framework, I had to ask myself the question, is this really a good contribution? Because it's such common sense and it's so simple. But yet the feedback has been, that's why it's good, because it's such common sense and it's simple. So yeah, it's been making sense, no pun intended, to a lot of people. And that's the meaningful part for me. And the fact that you've recognized that with this honor of being recognized this month also means a very great deal to me. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. You're so welcome. You know, Phil, both you and Dr. Lita have something in common, and you both practice and teach the fundamentals of education and healthcare. And it's such an important topic and message, especially now in this last year and going forward, because everything has shifted. You know, one of the things is, I don't have children, but what I can tell you with certainty is that, you know, that cookie cutter education, you know, people process and learn and absorb information differently. And if you're only just handing it out in one aspect or one way, how is everyone supposed to have the same opportunity? It doesn't seem fair, because it's not the same opportunity if people process information differently. So it's unfair. It's an unfair advantage. So I love this topic. I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, may I tag something on?
Yeah.
You know, just in my own life, for example, and this is like an everyday example, because I always tie things in education to how does this apply in the real world to kids? And, you know, just prior to being on your show, I was teaching a lesson in a high school, and we're right in the middle of reading stuff on like severe weather patterns. And I said, okay, and this is in a remote learning session that I was modeling for a teacher. And I said, okay, right now, all of you are in different geographic locations because you're not in your school building. I want everyone to hop on the National Weather Service, and I want you to do a 10-day forecast for me, because this is why we are learning about the weather. And, you know, that might sound like such common sense, but it's not. And when you talked about different learning styles, I just experienced this past weekend, because Stacey, you were talking about just getting out in nature. I needed to go to the seacoast. I live in Vermont, and I was like, I need to get out of Dodge. And my husband said, because my husband calls the car a rolling university because he listens to CDs all the time. Well, I'm a real visual and hands-on person. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands, right? Listening to audio is like nails on a chalkboard to me. And he's like, I'd really love for us to listen to this CD. You know, it's like a improve your life, you know, the top 10 strategies to put your intentions out to the universe. And I'm all into that stuff. I'm a big believer in that. And I'm like, we have to listen to it. And like, that's what my face looked like. And I felt like I was in school. And I was like, we're supposed to enjoy driving to the coast. I don't want to do that. And he's like, Phil, you love to learn. I don't like to learn like that. And we've been together 32 years. And Rob is my best friend, but he still doesn't get it. I don't learn that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's like not everyone gets it. Right. And that's why what you're doing is so important.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Our trending topic today is on the pros and cons of homeschooling. So if a friend or a family member asks you, what are some of the things from healthcare and educational side should they consider before making the final decision? What would be your professional guidance?
For homeschooling, I think there is such a trend on the increase for homeschooling. And I see the biggest benefits of homeschooling is that a family could look at their individual child or their 3 kids, for example, and say, these are my kids' ideal learning times. And this is when I'm going to provide heavy new information to them based on the creative ways that they learn. And then not so much on their lower learning times. And you don't typically see that in a traditional school building. And so that's a real advantage to homeschooling. You know, like one family that I supported said, I know that my child's ideal learning time is first thing in the morning, but not first thing like 7:45, you have to be in middle school or high school.
Right.
That child is just like waking up. And so their ideal learning time was between like 9 and 11:30, as opposed to 7:45 to noon. Because if that child's not present anyway, what's the quality of their instruction during that time? But boy, that time block at home, that kid was on full cylinders. Why? Because it was his ideal learning time.
Yeah.
Things in his personal interest. So again, that's makes sense.
Yeah. It's aligning with each individual. Right. Beautiful. We're going to take a brief sponsor break. And when we come back, we will continue this homeschooling conversation. Thank you so much.
Thriving Women Life Strategies is powered by Women Entrepreneurial Empowerment, commonly called WEE. The organization mission is empowering women entrepreneurs through a platform of visibility, education, and strategic growth and development within the networking arena. Their doors are open to women of all ages, millennials, new startups, small business, and those needing a boost. If you are committed to excellence and you want to know more about WEE platform, message founder Sabrina Protic on Facebook or email her at www.agelesstechniques.com. Back to Thriving Women Talk.
Wow, I really enjoyed that video. So much thriving information. It just gives you a lot to think about, right?
Mhm.
So, welcome back to Thriving Women. And due to the sheer uncertainty involved with these public schools and what's going on with education during our current pandemic time, more and more parents are opting to homeschool or find alternative schooling options for their families. Now, I know when my kids were coming up, homeschooling was someone who could handle it. Now it's not about whether you can handle it. It's really becoming more of a serious choice, because it's not whether I can handle it or not. It's more of a necessity. So the fall of 2021 is bound to be a semester full of trial and error as these families, as husbands, wives, and children. Let's include grandparents too, because I've assisted my daughter with some of the homeschooling and studying when she just couldn't do it with twins. So really it becomes a family, an extended family undertaking. But there are alternatives to this homeschooling and schooling, and you can still thrive. It doesn't mean that all is lost. It can be mutually beneficial for everyone, including the children. So the good news is, let's consider some options. There's charter schools. There's homeschool. We have a lot of online choices. You know, we have a lot of even assistance from the mainstream public schools with assisting with some of the virtual platforms. So we have choices, but we're going to have an enlightening conversation here. We've got the right people at the table here to help us unpack this. We've got two professional women. You've met them earlier. We have Dr. Lita, and we're so happy that she could join us. And of course, we've got our other professional here with us, and Dr. Phil McComber, and we are going to learn from this. So I'm going to cover some talking points. I'm going to mention the pros and the cons, and then I'm going to come in and ask for some comments on that. So here are some of the pros. The most obvious benefit to homeschooling is the control, the family flow, the control that you could have over the household. You know, the scheduling, all of that can be a little bit better under control. Your child is in an environment where they can thrive a little bit better. We saw in that video, no bullying, right? We don't get the fear of the classroom, the interaction, some of the tensions that happen in a traditional school setting. Those things are eliminated. So we have more of a warm, comfortable feeling at home. Schedules can be a little bit more flexible. You know, in the old environment, you know, parents that had to work had to get their kids up at an ungodly hour, right? And to force breakfast on them when they're probably not even ready for that, because you got to put them on a school bus to get them to school, and they're not even awake yet. So their senses are not even open. So now we have a little bit more control over that schedule. And then the health risks. Can think about that, the colds, and you know, if you want to get a parent sick, send them to school. They always bring it home, right? When our kids were in school, we were always getting colds and flus because the kids were bringing them home. So, you know, we kind of eliminate that. So that, and then now with the COVID-19, more precautions being in place, but still the kids are being exposed to that. So those are the pros there. So now let's look at some of the cons. Homeschooling can be intimidating. It's on both sides. It's on the side of the parent and on the side of the child. There's pressure involved. You know, it can be a little bit overwhelming and stressful because now you got mommy that was in a mommy mode or daddy that was in a mommy mode. Now they're in teacher mode. They got to wear a different hat, and they have to adjust to that difference in how they interact with their own parents. Most homeschool parents would tell you that it can be incredibly rewarding, but fearful, because now they're taking on a role they've never had to take on. Did you know that homeschool high school students can be enrolled in college courses now? Back when I was going to college, we had maybe one or two. You could do one online, but all had to be classroom. But now you can pretty much do a whole semester of classes online. So that is a new option that we have. We're going to go to someone who has a little bit more on their plate. We need Whitney Hartford in here because she's a mom and she's had dealt with this pandemic issue. She has had to kind of balance the family life, and she's raising twins, and part of her factor was not to homeschool her 9-year-old while she was taking care of these newborn twins. And yet she was thrown into the arena. So we'll deal with that when she comes on. But until she comes up, there she is. Hi, Whitney. So thank you. You have 3 children. And what is your perspective on the pros and cons first, since you went through that? Then we're going to get Phil McComber, and then we'll get Dr. Lita.
So for me, through my experiences, homeschooling, it was a great experience, but it was very exhausting and challenging. We actually relocated, so I got to deal with 2 different types of homeschooling. One which was at my own pace, which I liked, because like Phil said, putting them on your schedule or something that works best for them, that's a pro. That's something that works best for our family. We were able to do homeschooling with Nala around our time, which was fun for her. We were able to go for walks during the day. But the other spectrum to that was when we relocated, she did homeschooling and it was all online. So she had to sit in her room for 6 hours with breaks in between, try not to get distracted, wearing pajamas and stuff like that. And how do you expect a kid to succeed sitting in their room or out in the kitchen on online school? So for me, my ultimate choice was to put her back in school. They offered schools with smaller classrooms here. And I was like, it's like going to the gym. If you're not in that environment, your mind's not going to be there. And since I did put her back in school, it's been better for me, less stress, because she was just completely distracted with the babies and everything else we had going on. And she's been doing a lot better. She's just overall a happier kid, being back in the normalization of things like they were before pre-COVID pandemic. So that's my experience on the pros and cons of homeschooling and sending kids to school and stuff like that.
Thank you, Whitney. One last question for you. What about, how did that impact the family? You have a husband, so what was the impact there?
Well, it was all hands on deck when it came to homeschooling. It was all hands on deck. That became more stressful because we were all trying to juggle who was going to help with Nala or the twins, and just spreading the time out. And it just really helped at-home life, family life, for everybody to do their own thing, because I was the lunch lady. I was the school bell alarm. I was a teacher, and mama could not do everything, and, my husband, he tried to do it as well, but I wasn't built to do all of that with babies. If you have kids the same age, homeschooling might be easier, but when you have, a 9-year gap, it's a lot more challenging.
Mm-hmm. I see Phil giving a lot of nods here. Let's bring Phil in on that.
When everything a year ago went to, we are not in school buildings and everyone is in a remote learning environment, one of the first things I shared with parents and with teachers is that you need to compare, this is how school works in our school building in person, and this is how school is going to work online or at home in a homeschool environment. Meaning teachers were struggling, for example, with kids showing up, boys, no shirts on, their swimming trunks on, right? It's like, I'm sorry, we don't go to school that way in person. Rule is you need to have a shirt on. It could be a t-shirt, a sweater, or whatever it is. You just don't leave and go get potato chips in the middle of your mom teaching you, right? And so doing that comparison of being proactive about that as opposed to corrective about it when it happens is like, let's set up some guidelines. And the more that kids participate in those guidelines, one homeschool family, I'd be interested to hear what you think about this, actually said, we're going to designate this. And it was almost like a screen, like, you could put a screen behind you, but it was, this is our classroom wall. What are the visuals we're putting on our classroom wall? Because you don't go in school and have a classroom that doesn't have anything on the walls, right? School, our schools are visually busy places with resources. So we need to have some resources, but then we can pack it up and now it's back to our kitchen table, right? Because it's not like you're going to have this separate room that you're going to create as a homeschool family, possibly. Many people don't have the means to do that, as this is your classroom. But, you know, kind of setting up, no different than my husband saying to me, if I'm, you know, talk me down, Rob, talk me down, right? And he is like, okay, talk to me as your husband. And I do. And he said, and now let's pull it together. Talk to me as your business advisor. Those are two separate roles he plays in my life. So it's no different with homeschool families. It's like, talk to me as your mom, but now talk to me as your teacher and your instructor. And I know that parents are teachers in life for their child because they're in for the long haul. I'm not saying that, that I don't recognize that, but meaning the kinds of titles that you're giving things. So.
Wow, Phil, that is great perspective. I even needed to hear that. They need to know which hat they're wearing. You know, which hat mommy's wearing. She's mommy now or she's teacher now, not to confuse the two.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's important. Let's hear from Dr. Lita on these pros and cons of homeschooling. You're muted.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
I certainly acknowledge everything that has been said already. And I think that one of the things, like you said, Sabrina, is that, you know, prior to a year ago, families that chose to do homeschooling did just that. That was their choice to do that. And so their lifestyle was already prepared for that. One of the parents they stayed at home to do homeschooling. So, of course, the challenge, as you've already mentioned, but I really see it as I kind of alluded to earlier, is we got parents that are working full time and having to homeschool. So that's can be extremely stressful in the household. And of course, we spoke about different ways to navigate through that. But one other thing that I really want to bring, you know, out, and I don't think I've heard it, we're saying home school. Home. Not everybody's home is conducive. Not everybody's home is conducive to this wonderful, homeschool environment. Okay, let's just get real about it. There's a lot of children that are in very, you know, not dysfunctional homes. They don't have parents that are, okay, just let me teach the child. They don't have parents like that. They have parents that barely can learn themselves. You know, they have parents that it's almost like they don't really care, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a challenge that's there that's beyond just the fact of, hey, it's challenging in a home. Let's look at what that home environment may be like. You know, there's homes that got drugs that going in there. There's homes that have, you know, all kind of things in front of these children's presence that at least when they went to school, they were out of that environment. And now they're in it and trying to learn. So, you know, it's not an easy thing. But of course, everything can be overcome. But I just wanted to just kind of open that up as well, you know, to be acknowledged. So.
Well, and you're right. Some of these homes, it's not a learning environment at all. Brianna, any comments on the whole pros and cons of homeschooling?
I just received a lot of insight because I can only imagine being a mother that had to work and homeschool. It's juggling a lot, and it can play a lot on your mental. So I just want to salute all the women that are going through this transitional period. But, you know, the strong survive, and we are very, very strong. So I know that women are getting a lot out of this and becoming stronger. So that's all I want to implement. So thank you, guys.
You're welcome. So Sylvia, if you'll make a comment on this and then just take us right into wrapping this up in Spanish, we'd appreciate it.
Sounds good. Well, I give big prompts to moms because, like Whitney said, she has to wear one hat to do cooking, one hat to do schooling, one hat for this, one hat for that. And you know what? It is year change completely, but I'm so proud of you moms doing the big step out there, keeping up with schooling, homework, and everything.
Wonderful. Let's take it home with Spanish, Sylvia. Wrap the show.
Gracias por sintonizar Hablando con Mujeres Prósperas. Mi nombre es Silvia Camacho y estamos en vivo con la tribu que triunfa. Nuestra misión cada semana es conversar con nuestras coanfitriones y invitados en temas candentes, alentar a nuestra audiencia a prosperar, no solo a sobrevivir, a ser una mejor versión de nosotros mismos. El show de hoy fue muy alentador, inspirador y iluminador. Tenemos noticias alentadoras. Del CDC, Centro de Control de Enfermedades de los Estados Unidos, más de 100 millones de vacunas contra el COVID han sido administradas. El sitio web oficial de Thriving Women Network ya está disponible. La página oficial fue creada por Joel Passion, nativo de Taytay Rizal de las Filipinas. Tenemos también noticias inspiradoras. El mes de marzo es el mes de la historia de la mujer y por lo tanto vamos a felicitar a dos mujeres, a Phil Macomber, especialista en educación y autora del libro Every Child Can Learn. Nuestra segunda homenajeada es la doctora Leita Harris, fundadora de Cultivando tu Salud y Bienestar Femenino. He estado atendiendo a mujeres desde Inland Empire desde 1990. Su equipo ayuda a hombres y mujeres con problemas hormonales. Nuestro tema candente es ventajas y desventajas de la educación en casa. Las ventajas es que puedes tener más atención con tus hijos, adaptabilidad, fortalecimiento entre lazos familiares. Las desventajas que puede tener un poquito de estrés. Algunas de las familias no tienen internet en casa, supongo pueden tener problemas tecnológicos y son unas de las ventajas. Muchas de las veces no son muy autodisciplinados los estudiantes porque no sabes qué rol van a tomar. Si vas a tomar el rol de hijo o el rol de estudiante. Bueno, quiero darle las gracias nuevamente por emprender el viaje con nosotras y escuchar Hablando con Mujeres Prósperas, traído a ustedes por Trendsetter Mentor Group. Que tengan un excelente martes y regresamos contigo, Sabrina.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. You do it every time. It's a perfect ending. And before we wrap the show up, we would like to ask Dr. Lita and Phil Macomber, will you come back next week so we can finish this up? Because we have a lot more to talk about. What do you think?
I know, there's a lot.
Yes. We only got the tip of the iceberg. So we really love to have you come back. Mm-hmm. This was such an empowering and enlightening show. Whitney, what's in store for us after the show?
Pop on Clubhouse, and let's keep talking about the homeschooling on our post-show conversations. Make sure you guys pop on in and we'll keep chatting about it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank all of you. We've had a very empowering show today. We want to thank again Phil Macomber and Dr. Lita Harris. Mm-hmm. Also thank our Thrive Tribe, Noelle Ramos, Stacy Peasaw, Gina Marie Casano, Genesis Hay Creek. She couldn't be with us today. Sylvia Camacho, Whitney Harford, and as always, Brianna Johnson. Mm-hmm. Thank you to our Thrive Tribe Network producer, Daryl A. Johnson, who brings this to us every week. We couldn't do it without him. Our show engineer, Alan Chafin, who makes sure that all the technical pieces of this is right on point and right on time. And we have our brother, I used to call it our sister show, but really it's our brother show, Uncomfortable Conversation. We'll be unpacking something on that show tomorrow, which is very enlightening on esports. So you want to make sure you tune into that. And we're just happy to have you. So I'm Sabrina Prodick with our beautiful Thrive Tribe and our experts here. We want to see you again here next week. Join us. And remember, tomorrow, Uncomfortable Conversation. And that show now has changed its time from it's now 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join us next week. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.